All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the February 19th, 2020 Yolo, or West Sacramento Port Commission meeting. To begin, if you would, or actually, I'm sorry, the commission did meet in closed session. You want to report out on the closed session
Yes,
discussion?
the commission met in closed session to confer with real property negotiators concerning the item listed in your agenda, Sierra Northern Railroad.
All right, thank you to our legal counsel. Commissioner McGowan, would you lead us in the pledge? Yep.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. And Commissioner Ledesma is not with us this evening. He'll join us next time. Moving on to item number one, is general administration. I don't have any slips to speak on any items that are not on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of the commission, so that'll take us to item 2, which is consent. We have items 2, 3, and 4. Are there any questions?
Move approval?
All right, we have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Looking for a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner McGowan. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, that carries unanimously. That takes us to item 5, which is regular agenda consideration of a 2-year lease agreement with River City Rowing Clubs for a storage yard project at the North Terminal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to combine items 5 and 6 in one presentation. Item 6 is the lease agreement with Lake Washington Sailing Club. And as you may recall, a few months ago, we held a workshop on this expansion project at the port, and both Bill Natty and George Berry
Bigger than we are.
gave presentations then. It was clear at that time that the commission wasn't comfortable jumping into long-term lease agreements. And so the solution, if you will, that staff settled upon in working with the clubs was to give them a 2-year lease. And if you look at the attachment to the lease, it's the same for both. There's a drawing of the site. It's 2.85 acres, and 1/3, essentially 1 acre, would go to River City Rowing, and the 1.85, 2/3 would go to Lake Washington Sailing Club. So the terms of the lease are identical for both clubs. 2-year deal. During that period of time, they would have to construct a yard project that's basically graveling the site, doing some minor grading, fencing it and lighting it, and converting it from its current heavy equipment storage use to boat storage use. And then upon completion of that yard improvement project, they would then be eligible for a long-term lease at your discretion. And at that point, the clubs would diverge. I think the sailing club would be sticking with the storage operation, and the rowing club would be in the process of seeking permits for a new pier and dock facility. And the other element that we incorporated into the deal is that during this 2-year lease period, they would develop a community service plan, which at the commission's discretion, may have some value that would then be applied as a rent discount during a longer-term lease after the 2-year period. And so the rent during the 2-year period is discounted. It's a typical construction period discount of 90%. We typically do that when a lessee is in a construction phase, and so that's a typical term. So it's a 2-year period, discounted rent. They complete the project, and we go from there. Our current tenant has confirmed that they will vacate the site as of March 31st, so we're ready to go and excited about transitioning the site. So With that, I'll conclude my remarks, and we are recommending a 2-year lease for both the rowing club in item 5 and the sailing club in item 6.
Right, thank you, Rick. Are there any comments, questions by any of the commissioners? Commissioner Sandin?
The community service plan is really important to me for both of the co-tenants. And that will be only complete at the end of the 2-year, or will we be hearing about that along the way? What I would be worried about is the project's built and there's no more real capacity to engage more West Sacramentans. For example, that is possible that it could happen, and then we may be shared a plan that can't happen because it's already, like, the boats are already filled. I'm just trying to be very open about what I'd love for this to happen, but I want to make sure that this serves our community.
Yeah, the 2 representatives are reasonable and easy to work with, so I think during the course of that 2-year period, we would develop that plan, and I could certainly give the commission updates.
Commissioner Paul?
Are you done?
Yep. You good?
Yeah. I just want to strongly agree, but also push for something a little more formal. For me, the community service plan was to be implemented during this period, and not for the purpose solely of determining whether or not there would be a rent subsidy later, but whether we would actually continue later. At least in the instance of the sailing club, I think that was the kind of the key distinction. In both cases, we wanted the plan, so for me, I don't just want to see like a periodic newsletter update, but a point where it's coming, but also where we're going to get some preliminary indicators, which I think the indicators are already largely built into what we're receiving, but not related to the plan. So to me, it would be important that the agreement reflect that, and that we not characterize it as the community services plan's purpose is to determine whether or not we continue a rent subsidy, because it may be for that, but it is also whether we continue the agreement or not.
Sure, and the way it's structured as an option agreement now, at your sole discretion. So if you don't, if you're not happy with the community service plan, we can be done in 2 years, and we both go our own ways. They've improved our property, so it's, we've lost an equivalent value in rent to our current tenant, so I think, we would just discontinue after 2 years if it wasn't to your satisfaction.
Yeah, the plain language of the agreement on that dimension was fine. It was, I think, but the way you teed it up was, we'd get this plan, and we'd review that and determine whether or not there was going to be a future rent subsidy. So I just want to be clear, at least for me, that is one part of the plan's purpose, but it is not a given that in extension, the community services plan is only about rent.
Understood. Thank you.
But yeah, in terms of the timing of the submission of the plan, and then some initial indicators, I do think are important to be reflected in the agreements in both cases. I mean, reasonable. We've been partners forever. We expect to be partners forever. So I don't intend to be unreasonable about the timing, but I feel like there should be. I just want to agree with Commissioner Sandy. There should be something that is in advance of the period when we have to consider the next round.
Okay.
Well, I'd weigh in just to tag on, and I've mentioned it before. Keep it up. This perception and reality, I guess, of the level of community benefit. However we define that, I'm not going to sit here and do that for you because I don't know it. But I think it's a very important component for us to go forward. We need to be able to maximize the recreational benefits of the Deepwater Channel, the Turning Basin, and the Barge Canal to the extent that it makes sense to do so. But also we have to demonstrate to our citizens here in West Sacramento that we're making sure that they get to be involved with that, and it's an important part of our recreational theme here in West Sac. So get her done.
All right.
Maybe one other, just quick comment, which is to thank and acknowledge both of our partners for when we did the opening of the trail. Oh, sorry, Mr. Chairman, I was stopping on your remarks.
Nope, go ahead.
For the opening of the Barge Canal Trail was made extra special by the participation of both clubs, for sure, for everybody that was present, both in terms of seeing the potential of the trail, but it created a sense of magic about the place and a sense of connection, hopefully to the clubs as well. But thank you for volunteering to do that.
Absolutely. Well said. All right, so Rick, you kind of introduced the notion of 5 and 6 being together. You're looking for a motion for both?
Yes,
at this point?
please.
Okay.
I'd be happy to make that motion.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner McGowan and a second by Commissioner.
I'll second that with, and that includes some of the input that we've provided. Okay, I'll second that.
Very good.
Yes.
All right,
Thanks.
so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, those two motions carry unanimously. All right, thank you, Rick. Good work from that. So, right, item 7, starting with commission reports. Any reports by any members of the commission?
I don't have anything.
Not really? Is that what you said?
That's it.
I was just going to simply add, and as Commissioner Cambalden mentioned earlier, the partnership that occurred and the last week, the notion of the city, the port partnering, the port being a good steward of its operations and being a good partner to the city. It was a multi-benefit project that really does further the city's goals of making the trail system throughout the city, and the connectivity starting to come together with multiple segments, and this was just one more section of that broader pedestrian bicycle master plan long-term vision. And then also it served the city's strategic priority objectives of making sure that the city remains safe in high water times. And so that bike trail also serves as a way in which the levee can be patrolled during those high water times. So a good event, and thank you, gentlemen, for attending. All right, Port CEO report, anything to report?
Just one quick update on maintenance dredging activity. I'm going to go ahead and ask Rick to give you that update.
Thank you. So give you a little context here. About 2 weeks ago, and we're approaching the planning for the annual maintenance dredging season with the Corps of Engineers. About 2 weeks ago, I was advised by the Corps San Francisco District that they had decided this year to let a separate contract for San Joaquin, which takes away, historically, one contract has been let for San Joaquin and Sacramento. They do Sacramento first because we have an earlier species window to work within, and then they moved to San Joaquin. And so there's economies of scale, mobilization, and cost sharing. We received our typical appropriation this year. It was a little over $2 million. I was told by the Corps that because they had decided to let a separate contract for San Joaquin, that there would be insufficient funds to dredge us at all. And so the early word was, sorry, but no dredging this year for Sacramento. So I protested that and discussed with the CEO, kind of our approach. And so we also knew that there was extra work plan money out there to be had if we fought for it. So through our federal lobbyist, we made arrangements for our Congresswoman to contact the Corps. She did that, and very positive outcome. An additional $4.5 million was added to the work plan. So not only are we going to dredge, we have more money than we've had in the last 10 years to dredge. So very nice outcome. So they still have to execute the contract, which is always a challenge, but we have 6.5-ish, $6.8 million to work with this year. So,
A question on that?
Yep.
So, just for my, remind me, so we're essentially a 30-foot depth deep water channel, is that correct?
Yes.
and it fills up. So with this money, we go just to 30, or we'll actually be able to dredge further, or?
No, it'll be, yeah, we probably won't even get to 30. I mean, as you know, I mean, every year we ask for 10 million and we get 2.
No.
So this will help us get closer to 30, but we're operating right now at 26 to 27 feet.
Oh,
So
boy.
this will make up for some,
I take it then that the primary or the initial work's done down there at the mouth of the deep water channel where it flows into Sacramento by Rio Vista, is that the main issue?
Right, so just below and above the Rio Vista Bridge is where we see a lot of shoaling occur, and where, just north of that, where the Cache Slough empties into the ship channel.
God.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's important for folks to appreciate that, because it's an ongoing challenge for us to even, if we haven't been able to stay at that, our maximum depth, and we struggle with this funding issue, because we do get, the stuff fills up, and then we are not able to bring those ships in as regularly as perhaps we would like under optimum conditions. We've got to float it with a high tide and things of that nature, so. So thank Doris for us, Congresswoman Matsui. That's, I'm not surprised. She's a force to be reckoned with, so we owe her a big apology, our big appreciation.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty neat, yeah. Right, so you good?
Yes, thank you.
All right, absolutely, thank you. And actually, maybe to put a bow on that, Rick, if we can draft a thank you letter recognizing and thanking the Congresswoman for her efforts and continuing our dredging efforts.
Sure. We'll prepare that for your signature.
For the chair, for my signature, perfect. All right, thank you for that. All right, any other comments that you're good with your CO report? So we are finished with official business, looking for a motion to adjourn. We have a motion by Commissioner Sandin and a second by McGowan.
Yep, sure.
All right, all those in favor? Say aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, we have the normal 5 o'clock time.
Wow.
Well,
Some great
5:15 for the regular time. And then the camera's still rolling.